Are you looking for an inexpensive flight to get to Jamaica? One way only, mind you. Then sign up here. And all you need to qualify is to have dropped some litter, gone for a red light, get caught speeding, doing 32 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, not paid a parking ticket or something like that. And you too could qualify for a free flight to Jamaica. One way only, mind you.
You're crazy. Am I? Yes. Am I? Yes. Am I?
Priti Patel is following in the footsteps of Theresa May by maintaining or keeping up the pretense that they are hard on immigration. And I have to say this at the beginning of this video, yeah. I don't really have a problem with deporting hardened criminals.
They say they're removing violent criminals from this country to keep the public safe.
If someone has had a track record of committing hard crimes, murder and rapes and things like that, and they were not born of this country, yeah, and they were an immigrant coming into this country, then by all means, boot them out.
It is time you left.
However, what I do have an issue with is the method and the system that's in place in which makes people qualify to get deported. There's where the issue lies for me.
Our Conservative government got rid of people whose only distinguishing factor from the rest of the population was their ethnic origin. It was racist.
Because it seems to me that, one, I have two kind of issues. The main two issues are, one, that it always seems to be, that whenever there's a story about deportation, it always seems to be a specific member of a specific group that happens to be the ones who are seen to get deported. You know what I mean? As in, it's West Indian or Caribbean gentlemen, 56, as in what's reported in the paper, Caribbean gentlemen, 50-odd Caribbean gentlemen getting deported to Jamaica in the 2nd of this month. It was the same back in February and the same last year and so on forth.
Was a scandal. It was shameful. It was a group of Commonwealth citizens, many of whom had lived in this country for decades, who were chucked out because apparently they didn't have the proper paperwork. So it was deemed that they were illegals here and they were thrown out. Shameful. That is our government shame.
Right. So one is the targeting, and why is it happens to be these gentlemen from this specific group? And secondly, what qualifies them to actually come onto the radar in the first place? You know what I mean? Because it seems to me that, yes, rapists, murderers qualify. But when you read into the fine print, or when you read into a lot of these stories and you start to dig a little bit deeper, what you tend to find is that you'll find that ABH and GBH, that's grievous bodily harm. Someone charged with grievous bodily harm. Someone charged who's been charged with being in possession of marijuana also qualify to get deported out of this country. And to me, those crimes are small, or wouldn't I say small? I'm not saying they're not crimes, but they're what would Americans call it? They're minor crimes. Let's say that minor crimes, right? Because, you know, if you take into consideration those three guys that got, I can't even remember, what did they get?
3 teenagers have been convicted of the manslaughter of PC Andrew Harper, who died in Berkshire last year after being dragged for a mile along a country road by a car. The officer, who'd been investigating an attempted robbery, had married his childhood sweetheart just 4 weeks earlier. And today she spoke of her disappointment that the 3 accused were acquitted of murder. Helena Wilkinson has the story.
Anyway, these 3 guys, yeah, literally murdered a policeman by dragging him a half-mile down the road. They didn't get no, what crime did they get, or what did they get charged with? Right? So you're telling me that's a Caribbean person, yeah, a black man, who may be in possession of some marijuana, especially back in the day, because, and here's the thing about the law system that I find kind of like, I'm kind of like digressing here, but I'm going to slot this in. Here's the thing. When you look at the legal system as it is in this country, right, it's almost like you have a legal system that is so biased that two people could get charged with the same thing but get charged in two different categories, right? So, for example, and a quick example is a black person caught with weed will get charged with intent to sell, and carrying possession of an illegal drug. A white person charged with that same crime will get charged with being in possession of a drug, but the intent to sell disappears, and they get charged, or they will be considered as an abuser or a user. Yeah, so I just thought I'd slip that in. But anyway, carrying on. So when you look at these black gentlemen that have been deported, right, and you look at the number of black gentlemen out of the 50, and here's where I'll talk about the biasness now of, let's say, the way that these stories are reported as well. You look at the story headline, it says rapists, murderers, and then you've got this story where, you know, certain celebrities and certain people are speaking out about the injustice of it, and they're saying, oh, these people want to keep murderers and rapists in the country? Okay, cool. Right? That kind of reporting, on that bias reporting is so, disingenuous, right? Simply because I can guarantee, I put money on it, right? Out of the, maybe if there were 50 people getting deported, right, there might be a killer in there. There might be a person who was a rapist in there. There might be a person that has probably beaten up someone really, really bad, or was a kingpin drug dealer.
People were convicted of rape, 3 were convicted of violent crime, 8 convicted of drugs offences, 3 convicted of robbery and firearm offences, 1 of burglary.
But when you look at the rest of the people that are on that list of deportations, I put money on it, and I'm not saying that I know this for real, because obviously what you tend to find is in the story they don't actually tell you who's getting deported and what they're getting deported for specifically, right? The caption just says murderers and rapists. So I'm saying I'd put money on it that the people, for majority of people in that deportation list, it's going to be a minor offence that they get hit with.
8 convicted of drugs offences.
Right? And this is an issue for me because, like I said, if they're going to get deported for a minor offence, right, how is it that the plane is ready for them, right, but then other groups of people, say from up north, who are involved in grooming gangs and stuff like that, where's their plane? I've said this before. Where is their plane? Right? Now, Priti Patel has come out and said that she's looking into it and she's sorting it out. But a lot of those members of that grooming gangs and the grooming gangs up north, a lot of them have been sentenced, charged, and are walking around minding their own business now. I think there was one story in the Daily Mirror, I think it was, where a young girl was upset and traumatized by the fact that one of the guys that had raped her, she saw him in the supermarket. Yeah, right. So I'm saying, well, okay then, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying that for grooming gang, the members of the grooming gangs. I'm talking about for all deportations, people that qualify to be deported. Yeah, where's their plane? Because to me, it seems that Priti Patel is picking soft targets here, right? And again, it's to keep up the pretense that she's hard on immigration. Because let's be honest, and I'm going to say this, I've got nothing to back this up with, but I'm going to put this out there, I'm going to plant this seed, right? I don't think it's any coincidence that Priti Patel comes from the very same group that she's finding hard to deport, or let's say she's looking into deporting. It doesn't seem to me, or it's not a coincidence to me, that she is also a member of that group, right? And it wouldn't surprise me, or it wouldn't put it past me that the reason why she's struggling to deport them as easy is because at the end of the day, she needs their support, as in to keep her position in the job that she's got. You know what I mean? I'll let you kind of like join some dots there, right? But once you do that, you'll get where I'm coming from. But again, having a look, right? The issue that I have with this whole deportation thing, like I said, I'm not really got a problem with someone who's a criminal getting deported and so forth like that, who's a hardened criminal. But again, the categorization of why someone can get deported, to me, is very questionable, because it also leads on to the notion for me anyway is that, let's say that, okay, then all you need to do is not be born here with a passport and commit a crime and have gone into jail for a year. That's all you need, right, to qualify to get deported. Let's say that they run with that for a couple of years, right? The next step, and I'm looking forward down the road, the next step is that rather than you needing not having a passport or you're born out of the country, the next step is just going to be, all you need to do is be a descendant of a West Indian person or a person from the Caribbean. So then all of a sudden now, people like myself, we now qualify, because my parents were born in Jamaica. And as a descendant, even though I was born here, right, they will classify, well, you are Jamaican or you're Caribbean because your parents were. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying that's coming to fruition yet, but it wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean? And then, after all of that, there is a bit of a kicker in this story. And that twist, should I say, right, comes from this guy, Alex Belfield, right? And he pointed out, look.
We were meant to be sending home criminal Jamaicans who got off a plane today because of the legal system that they prevented their eviction from the UK. So we're sending away veterans and keeping criminals. When are we going to start doing the right thing by the right people and the right thing by the wrong people? I.e. we work out who are the good guys, i.e. veterans, and we keep them, and we kick out the criminals who are putting us at risk and cause us danger with murders, rapes and abuse across our society. Why are we having Jamaicans taken off planes but sending home 7 people who fought in a war for us?
You know, he's arguing, well, why shouldn't we send these Jamaicans back to Jamaica because they're hardened criminals, so forth and so on. And then he goes on to say, well, whilst veterans who fought in the war, who fought in Iran and Iraq for the British people, they're getting deported, right? Now, what he failed to mention here in his slick move, right, because he's obviously trying to win, because his trick there was to try and use the word veterans, because when you talk about veterans in this country, people just automatically think old white men. So he tried to use that in order to embark on this notion that, yes, you've got war heroes from this country who are white, let's say, getting deported. But what he kind of failed to mention is that these same veterans that are getting deported, they too, as we see here, are also from the Caribbean. Boom. So then it comes to me now, well, okay then, is it more to do with them being Caribbean and them being targeted once again? But you know what? I don't have the answers. Maybe someone out there does. Maybe you do. Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.
Yes. Am I? Yes. Am I? Yes.